Okay, hello everyone. I know this video is well overdue. I perfectly and totally understand that I wasn't at home. However, I hope I can maybe bring a unique perspective as someone who has only owned a Switch. I was the kid that was told, why do you need another console? And I was like, so I hope you enjoy the Nintendo Switch red lipstick and colors. I do have a few things to say about this, especially because I already seen this, but I just want to confirm some things because there's some things that I'm still really iffy about and I don't quite understand. So hopefully I can understand them and maybe I can explain some hardware to you guys. Just because I looked at some of this, I was like, what the hell? So let's get into it. So the design is bigger and made for actual adults. You see, I already have a problem with this Mario Kart game. It's not 9, and that's not my problem. My problem is that it looks identical to Mario Kart Tour, which looks like a mobile game. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, it's really just Mario Kart 8 meets Tour, and I don't love the cartoony art style. I definitely prefer the Wii U era of graphics when it comes to Nintendo. Hopefully I'm proven wrong, though, and this is just beta footage. However, it seems to be ready to be packaged, if you will.
The Nintendo Switch 2 system can adapt to suit your situation, however you like to play. In TV mode, use the dock to play on a bigger screen.
Also, love that these have ports now and there. What do you call them? Like the slide things? Do you know how many times, here's the thing, my sister and I are total opposites. She will just jam it in there and like hope that it'll get in, and she definitely has almost broken my Switch before. If she's watching this on the minimum chance, I still love you, don't worry. But, girl, you almost broke my Switch. I had to do that thing with the scissors where you have to, like, hold down the prong so it would release. Yeah, the first design wasn't very kid-friendly. Well, it was kid-friendly to hold, but not to actually function, which is hilarious. I don't know how they fumbled that one really bad.
In tabletop mode, place your system however you like using the stand, and share a controller with a friend.
No one's using those little ass shit. No, I can't do it. I did it for Mario Kart. I gave in and bought 90. Well, no, it was gifted to me. Shout out to my uncle. Love that it was gifted. Did buy some Joy-Cons though, because I couldn't stand it. I used to.
Mode, play anywhere you go.
Yeah, that's the Switch for you.
With these 3 play modes, you can enjoy playing whenever and wherever you want. All together,
yeah.
Anytime, anywhere. Let's take a look at some features of Nintendo Switch 2 and how it's...
I do have to say this, the first ever batch of Nintendo Switches that ever dropped, I bought one in 2020, like right before the pandemic, I believe. The difference between that and the ones that first dropped is that the screen was garbage. I had a friend that had a Switch, but the 2017 release one. So it was like a good 4 years between our Switches. The battery life was awful. The screen looked like garbage. It had like a yellow hue to it. I don't know if they were pissing on it or what happened, but he said it shipped like that. So I'm like, okay. I hope it's not like that for the Switch 2. I know that they've learned from the OLED and the original, but it looks like my Switch that I own right now. I don't own an OLED. I own the second version of the first Switch. It almost looks identical to me, basically. So,
improved from the Nintendo Switch system.
Don't piss me off.
At 7.9 inches, Switch 2 has a bigger built-in screen. Here's how that compares to...
You know how you can make it bigger, Nintendo, if you get rid of the stupid black bar around it? It's even worse with the first Switch, but this, like, it's still not to its full potential. And listen, I know hardware very well. If you were wondering, and if you're new to my channel, I have been a hardware girl and a software PC girl since I was 2. I learned how to eat, sleep, walk, use the bathroom, and type on a keyboard. That was the first skill I had outside of basic human needs. My dad grew up in like the 80s, first computer. He was a nerd. He went to the arcade. It's in my genetics, all right? The hardware and the chips themselves, especially for consoles, they're made specifically to be a specific size. So the console can remain small and have jam-packed full of coolers. Shout out to the 360. That was my first console. Coolers, better graphics. Because you see, the hardwares that you see in servers or in computers, the biggest thing in them is the cooling system. That's what makes them so thick, especially like the 40 series, if you've looked into those, or even the 50 series. They are very thick because of the cooling system. But the chip is only ever like this big, razor thin. Honestly, if you saw a CPU, like you would think it's like chewing gum, essentially. I've cracked open an Xbox before. With my dad, of course, I've seen like the tiny chipsets and the mini ass fans that they use, and they thought that would have that cool for some odd reason. So, them kind of advertising like same thickness, I'm not gagging. I mean, yeah, 2017 to 2025, I think the thickness could have been smaller, actually. So, weird advertising gimmick, definitely rides on people who don't know hardware very well and the size of it. It's not the flex you think it is, Nintendo. I mean, we don't want it bending, of course. We're not buying an iPhone. We're buying a gaming console. It could have been thinner, in my opinion, only a little bit, but to advertise that, it's weird. To make it bigger, yeah, sure. I just hope that it's portable like my Switch 1, because sometimes smaller is better. Even the Switch Lites, people love those because you can carry them around anywhere. I don't see a Nintendo Switch 2 Lite anywhere where it's like the budget version, especially in these times and the economy and the tariffs. You could have provided a budget-friendly Nintendo Switch 2. If Xbox can do it and you can do it in 2017, Nintendo, you can do it right now.
The Nintendo Switch. The system's thickness remains the same.
Shocker.
With approximately double the pixels compared to Switch, you can enjoy games in greater detail on the 1080p screen.
Ooh, wow, okay. Okay. Sure. I mean, the screen could have been this in 2017, but for whatever reason you underspec'd it, so. Okay. Yeah, sure. Look at Mario far off in the distance. If you have bad eyesight, it looks the exact same. This is nice.
The screen supports up to 100.
Here's where they get you. Read carefully, PK Crew. Very carefully. Put your glasses on if you need to. There's no shame in that. 120 FPS only available in compatible games. Pokemon fans, this is not for you. This is for like Splatoon fans, maybe. People who buy non-Nintendo games on the Switch, that's for you, for sure. Like those Doki Doki Literature Club fan anime games, Persona fans, yeah, I think you'll get 120. Pokemon fans such as myself, they're gonna say, well, it's 30. Here's more Pokemon. Yay!
120 frames per second, allowing for smoother gameplay in supported titles.
Okay, so I hope they confirm how many hertz are in the monitor. Wow, computer nerd here. In the screen. Because if you can get up to 120 FPS, no shame in that. That's brilliant. I'm assuming that's handheld. Good work. This is advertising higher hertz. So this would be around like 60 hertz. And I could assume that this is around maybe 200, 120. If you aren't familiar with what hertz are, that's fine. But basically, it's like your GPU and your monitor work in sync, the hertz of how much you can put on your screen. So, if you do this, it looks smoother on iPhones. Some people might see this in 60, so it jags around a little bit more. It's kind of like input lag, but ever so slightly. You won't notice it unless you upgrade your machine. I know when I got my 144 hertz on my laptop and I was still on 60 on my computer, it's hard to go back to that. It's almost jarring. But for the really base level Nintendo fan that just wants a console for their family, they aren't worried about this, but am I worried about it? Yeah, sure. I want to know.
The LCD screen is more vivid and supports
only available in compatible games. Pokemon fans, once again, not for you. All right.
Providing more contrast between light and dark areas of the images.
Well needed.
The all-new Joy-Con 2 controllers connect magnetically.
Oh, wow. You know what? I predicted this back in a Discord call with my boys at the time. And I just flat out said, The only thing keeping Nintendo from having magnetic Joy-Cons is the fact that magnetic anything, like if you put a magnet up to a motherboard, you can actually like kind of fuck up your machine. So I'm glad they found a workaround around it, ladies and gentlemen, and you can just clip it back on. Magnetics and hardware, it might be a tale of the past now. Once again, I've been doing it for such a long time. The stuff my dad tells me sometimes, unfortunately, it is out of date. It would have to be a very powerful magnet now, I believe. You can basically like suck the data up. Sometimes you can break it if you like hit it, but yeah, it's an interesting gimmick. I hope that doesn't become an issue. Let me make sure. Can a magnet ruin your hardware? Is incredibly difficult and rare. Okay. So that's a thing of the past. Is on an outright myth. Oh, okay. So it is possible, but it's not bad. Okay. Yeah, it would have to be a very strong magnet. So, false alarm. However, to those incredibly rare people that have problems, that is gonna suck. And I hope that Nintendo has warranty.
Strong magnets keep the controllers firmly attached to the system.
Oh my god, you're gonna have to rip it off.
Easily by pressing the release button on the back.
Oh. Okay. Thank God.
The SL and SR buttons are bigger for greater comfort and control when playing with a Joy-Con 2.
My god. It's good that the Nintendo Switch kids finally grew up, because I can't do that shit anymore. Littleism with my nails and everything else. At that point, I needed like to glue like a little pin to my finger. Just go. God, it's awful.
Held horizontally.
Yeah.
The left and right sticks are now larger.
With more drift. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Okay, now this I believe is stupid. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's stupid. If there is already like a USB port to your Nintendo Switch, right? I don't know about the ports on this. I do know when it comes to docking it, there's ports and there's also a charger thing at the bottom. I'm shocked that they didn't go the route of selling you a Nintendo Switch Bluetooth mouse. Quite frankly, I truly... Call me crazy. I would love to see, because the Nintendo Switch one already has Bluetooth. This is a Riser Ballistic X Hyperspeed. It has a USB and Bluetooth functionality. If I hook this up to my Switch, my original Switch, and it's Bluetooth, I do believe some mouses may be supported. Call me crazy. So this as a selling feature is kind of nuts. If you really wanted this feature, you could have made it work on your Switch. I'm not saying that it's, you know, my favorite cup of homebrew coffee, but what I am saying is it can be done.
Each Joy-Con 2 controller can be used as a mouse, opening up even more ways to play.
Just get a computer. Games. Lowe's, or especially with the price.
Both the left and right Joy-Con 2 support mouse controls, so you can also play certain games using two mice, like this.
Oh, that looks easy wrist problems. Okay, wait, where's my case? Oh, I think it's in a box. Yeah, I have a wrist thing. You want to guess how I got a wrist injury? Doing this shit, Nintendo, and doing this with my mouse. Like, I hold my mouse like this, like a psychopath. Don't strain your wrists. Just play normally, you know? Don't be me. Listen, this was an agony for years, and you may see it in some of my videos where my hand's like black because you can see my... I never broke it. It's just a repetitive strain, but if you're gonna play like that, oh, be careful. Nintendo does not give a damn if your wrist hurt. You're gonna play their fucking motion controls. God damn it. Oh,
By adjusting the audio balance between the ranges, sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer and more natural in handheld and...
You could have just gotten headphones. You can hook up your headphones because there's a headphone jack in the top and there's also Bluetooth. So if you have AirPods, you can connect them. I would know because I've done that. This is a great day for annoying 6-year-olds on the public transit with their Switch. This is amazing news for that annoying ass little kid in Walmart. Yep, great news for them. Horrible for everyone else. Oh. Ooh, if you guys know me, I love this feature.
It has a built-in microphone, so you can voice chat with friends anytime via game chat.
I hope it sounds really bad, because it would be so funny. You know those old 360 headset mics where they're like cranked up to the notch and it sounds like you're talking through a microwave? Yeah, this is what I needed.
It uses noise-canceling technology to filter sounds, so your voice will come through clearly.
Yeah, they need to hear me. I thought the Switch 1 already had 3D audio. How bad did they under-spec their Switch 1? What the fuck? Was this their goal all along to just like undercap the Switch 1 so bad and then give you modern tech in the big 2025? I want to make sure that I have my year right. I still say 24. In the big 2025, you're gonna add a mic and HDR support. Think like this is groundbreaking, you guys. Oh, Nintendo, if you didn't have half the exclusives that you have, no one would buy this shit. Or they would have skipped the 1 and went straight to 2. From a spec perspective. I mean, listen, I bought the Switch 1 because I was like, you know what, I love to play Mario Kart with my family, especially during quarantine. And we did have a lot of fun. I kicked their ass. I'm a dry boner by heart. I love dry bones. The thing is that I looked at the specs in horror because I check Nintendo, like console, PlayStation, Xbox specs. I follow them every generation to make sure that my computer's up to date, because as soon as the consoles get more affordable than me upgrading my part to my PC, I will move over. And if the Discord integration and everything that I do that made my computer above the consoles, if they're totally gone, I will switch. No pun intended. I will switch because I love to be logical when it comes to buying my hardware, especially as a Canadian where everything's like 6 times more because I pay with Monopoly money. The thing is with the Switch 2, I feel like I have all this stuff already. And if you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, you have this stuff already. If they sold Mario Kart and all the Mario titles and the exclusives on different consoles, no one will be buying this. And that is just a fact. Because you overprice people with specs that people already have, and you pull bullshit like this and try to claim that it's so better. By the way, still haven't seen how many hertz this screen is. I know for whatever, the TV version, that's fine. I want to know the handheld specs, because that's the true specs of this machine. It's not tied to your computer at all. I know there's 4K support in TV mode, but that's only based off the stuff you have. I want to know what I get, and if you aren't going to tell me the hertz, I'm a little concerned.
Even if you don't have a surround sound system, games can be enjoyed with...
Once again, just another thing, like only compatible with certain games. Who's to say that the Nintendo games are even going to do this? Especially Pokemon. And that's the only reason why I buy Switches now, okay? It's Pokemon. It's just... I don't know. There's so many things that requires an update or requires specific games to run it. But guess what? If the games you have, they don't function it, and they don't build it in to whatever they're doing, you're never going to be able to experience it. And that's just shady to me. Can you imagine if the PlayStation was like, hey, you can have 3D audio only if you play Ragnarok? No Last of Us fans are going to get 3D audio. Like, people will be pissed. And I don't get why Nintendo can get away with this shit. Like, half the shit that they do. It's crazy. It's all going back to the exclusives and the creativity, sure, but they're greedy about it because they know that you guys are mad at other studios and they know that they can serve you whatever you want with no microtransactions. And that's how they get away with it. Especially console players that don't know any better.
More
sorry.
Immersive, 3-dimensional sound, as if it were coming from all around you.
Hey, guess what? My computer does that with everything that I throw at it. You want to know why? Because it's a feature of my computer, not the software itself. I can force it on Windows. Once again, there are mods and there are functionalities and extensions that allow you to do this. I love homebrew coffee. It's one of my favorite. I love Kickin' Horse from BC. Very good. Oh, riveting.
Place your Nintendo Switch 2 however you like with a large, sturdy stand.
This looks like the one from OLED, so once again, not shocked. I don't know why they thought that little kickstand on the Switch one was a good idea. It looks like it would snap off with just a, you know?
You can move it freely, like this.
Wow! Okay, see what I mean by the different ports over here? Once again, if you just plugged in a mouse, I think it would work.
In addition to the
Where is it?
USB-C port found on the bottom of the system, there's
Okay.
one on top as well.
Cool.
It's handy for connecting a USB-C
That's where I knew the extensions would come in. All right, so this would be like camera. This looks like the Kinect, by the way. A little scary. This could be a microphone. This could be a mouse. Those wire controllers by PowerA, I think their names are. Whatever the hell you want. Honestly, I want to be shocked if you just put in speakers, then guess what? Everything's 3D. There's always loops around when you put additional USB-Cs. What's another thing? Oh yeah, you could probably charge your phone if you really wanted to. You can have a light, like I have shining in my face right now. You can have whatever you want, basically. So,
camera,
I can't say it, but I'm looking at you.
charging in tabletop mode.
Okay, this is a nice feature, because it would suck having to hold it from the bottom. So, yeah, makes sense. I wasn't sure if they were going to let you charge it from the top, because, you know, Nintendo. And I also don't know where the battery is and the Switch itself, but very nice feature. I will give you that, Nintendo. So what, you put an NVMe SSD in there instead of a regular one? This reminds me of the expanded and enhanced from GTA, where they're like, instant character switching. Meanwhile, they didn't do that themselves. It was the SSDs in the system. If you don't know the difference between an NVMe SSD, a SATA SSD, and an HDD, I will explain it to you in the quickest term possible. HDD is a little disk. This comes from previous generations. It is a disk where basically it like turns around to read stuff. So if you have like Last of Us here, go boop, boop, boop. If it needs your save data, it'll go boop. You can optimize it on your PC. I don't know about Apple and I don't know about consoles. So it makes it spin faster, and it's also in like the same general area. So it doesn't have to go back and forth, and it actually speeds it up. An NVMe SSD is the newest. It literally looks like a piece of gum. It's tiny. I just got my hands on one. And it's like this big-ish. It runs as a stick of RAM and your hard drive on it, so it just pulls it immediately based off of memory. And it's usually plugged right into the motherboard, so it actually takes up less space, and it's only a little port. A SATA is the same as an HDD, however, it is still memory-based. You have to plug it into a SATA port on your motherboard the same way you do an HDD, but it runs off of memory rather than a disk itself. For the same reason of, you know, SSD, solid state drive, hard disk drive. Hard disk being the little disk. There are hybrids where there is a disk and memory sticks. However, those are obsolete and not important. So, yes, the NVMe sticks are smaller, they are faster, they are more compact, and most importantly, they are currently the fastest hard drive on the market. I would love to see if they actually have an NVMe or not.
Nintendo Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabytes of internal.
Oh yeah, also far better for storage. They do cost more because obviously the newest tech costs more. No biggie. I think they're just now coming out with terabytes worth of NVMe's. It's truly fascinating. I know a lot of you guys don't give a shit, and some of you guys just rely on me to tell you, which, thank you. Wow, that's a lot of trust in me, but I hope it's an NVMe for the sake of this Switch, because that would be a massive upgrade.
Storage. 8 times that of Nintendo Switch for storing your game downloads, save data, and more.
It also means that you probably won't have to get those stupid, oh my god, they're SATA disks. Like the little cartridges in the back of the stand where you push it up and get more storage. I have a big, like, gigabyte one because I love keeping my games in one place. And the minimum storage on the Switch was actually stupid. Like, that could maybe fit Odyssey. But that was the importance of having physical games because they're on the cartridge itself. I don't see it mentioning the physical games, and I hope they do because they will open up a floodgate as to what I think about that god-awful decision.
Reading and writing data is also faster.
Okay, so they got NVMe. Got it.
Use the Nintendo Switch 2 dock to connect to your TV and enable up to 4.
Okay, so this is nice. Before they only had 2, but to have a LAN is actually very nice. I believe it was just the HDMI and AC. Could be wrong. But to see more ports in the back to help compatibility is a very nice feature, and I will give Nintendo props.
K resolution for compatible games. HDR
Compatible
is
games,
also supported
always.
in TV mode.
Okay, love this. I love that you can pick your specs, especially for a loser like me. Very nice. I hope they come out with a dark theme because that burns my retinas. Woo! Okay, this is also a good feature. I will always support cooling because the cooler your system is, the more it can overclock if need be. Because I do believe it is all 4-pin, which basically means it will pull as much power as it needs to run the game smoothly. And cooling is obviously number 1 because you don't want crashes due to overheating.
The Nintendo Switch 2 dock has a built-in fan that keeps your system
cool. Ooh, okay. So it goes through there. It reminds me of the Apple products where they have like silent fans and it like moves around. Now that, I don't know how that works. That's crazy shit. But you can see the little ports here. Okay, so it goes in through the bottom and up through the top. That's far better than just the little vent on the top and having it spin and like kind of blow nowhere but up. So I love that there's a cool feature because I don't know where it sucked in for the first Switch. I don't think it sucked in anywhere and just blew up the hot air and hoped to God that it wouldn't burn. There were some times where I go to touch it and I feel like lava. So once again, I'll give them props for this. Oh, you see that? You can see the little land and how that connect. That's a cool feature. I love being able to see that stuff. Thank you, Nintendo. Here's where they get me.
On Nintendo Switch 2, you can play Nintendo Switch 2 games, as well as compatible Nintendo Switch games. Physical and digital games are supported.
I truly believe if it weren't for the Switch 1 compatibility thing that I think Xbox started with the Game Pass with compatibility, I'm not sure, could be wrong, comment down below, they would not have put the Carnage feature on the Switch 2. There has been news about it. Basically, it's not a Carnage anymore, so you don't get local data on it. So instead of thinking of like a Carnage or a CD, think of it of a USB, but it's only like read-only, and it downloads it as if it were a digital game. And then after that, the Carnage is kind of useless, and it makes you have to have an internet connection and storage on your Switch. Usually some people just say, well, uninstall the game. However, if you're like me and have a massive backlog of things that you love to play again, or you just have a lot of favorite games, it becomes very troublesome. And that's part of the reason why so many people bought physical, was because you didn't have to worry about the spaces on the Carnage. However, now it just seems to be like a weird digital only thing. So to write stuff, it would send back to the USB because, you know, writing. But reading it, your Switch goes, okay, here's what I need to do, here's your save file, and go. But to write on it, I don't think you can do that. So it's like plugging in a read-only and you have to install everything. It's like an exe file. Where you go to install Chrome, it tells you what you can install, but you can't write back on it. It's the weirdest strategy, and that truly makes me think, like, if it really wanted us to go to digital, the only reason why the Carnage is there is for Nintendo Switch 1 games. And then they're going to go on to the next console and completely scrap the Switch games altogether and make it digital only. I'm calling it right now. I know exactly what they want. It reminds me of the PlayStation when it comes to the CDs, how it can be with the CD-ROM or without it. It really reminds me of that. They want us to go digital. They don't want us to own our games. Unfortunately, with PC, I'm cooked. I don't have a CD-ROM. All my games are digital. However, I own the individual game key, and that's probably the most I'll ever own, especially I'm a primary Steam user. I know some people play Epic Games. I have some games there that are unfortunately exclusives, but the most I own is a game key, and that's the one benefit from console games. But I can tell they're squeeging away from it because it's like, well, if PC players can do it, we can do it for console. But, you know, I'll be horribly sad for the generation that will never be able to walk into a GameStop, or for my Canadian fans, EB Games, and pick up the next game that they want to play, because it was such a magical experience walking in there with my dad. I still have physical PC game copies. I was a Sims girl growing up because I wasn't allowed to play like gory games. courtesy of my mom. Shout out to my mom. I wasn't allowed to play gory games, so I played mostly The Sims. My dad let me play Duke Nukem, though. Shh, don't tell her. We played Duke Nukem forever. It was so much fun. But we got the demo. But the reason why we could get digital games was because they were kilobytes big. That's a rarity. If you have ever played a demo in the 2020s where it was kilobytes big, please let me know. I do not think that is possible anymore. I truly think that they're all gigabytes big, and if not, like close to a terabyte. Which is horrible, because some of the games I'm like, how is this almost a terabyte? Red Dead, I get. Everything else, I don't get it. But let me see if they talk about it. If not, I'm going to pull up an article and we're going to talk about it, because I really don't like it. Oh, they hit it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not letting you guys get away with that. Nope. Physical games. So. Oh, they're defending it? Nah. So, to my knowledge, they cost more. See, yes. This is the thing that I saw. You aren't really buying the game. This is courtesy of Lifehacker. I know that they're being serious because, well, they hit it somewhere, I believe, in like the 3-hour live stream that they did. It does support physical and digital, however. Here's what I would like to read out. It's important to note, however, that just because you buy a physical Switch 2 game doesn't mean you've actually purchased the game itself. In fact, for some games, there are a few differences between buying the game physically or digitally. And unless you have the appropriate box art in the cartridge itself, you shouldn't make your buying decision with the wrong idea in mind. So, this is the part where you really have to read. I do think all, if not most, Nintendo Switch 2 games has this on the bottom. The main games, they're going this route 100%. So it says game key card. That's basically like you're buying a digital game. You know how some people, like, they sell cardboard boxes and they give you a code? Nintendo's like, here, just put it in your Switch and then let it download. And that's basically it. Game key cards are new to this Nintendo generation and separate themselves from physical games in one major way. They do not contain the full game on the card itself. What you're buying is the key to download the game full to your console. Game key card. Yeah, so it's quite a bit like Steam games where, you know, if you go to your properties and you look at the game key, that's what you're buying, essentially. And I believe it costs $10 extra. And I know what you're thinking, oh, what's the $10 extra for? I don't know. Because the last generation, you were able to buy the physical, like, box art for the same price as the digital, and you actually got a cartridge. Now they're upcharging you $10 for a glorified digital copy. They are making consumers be like, okay, well, this is stupid. I'll just buy digital to save $10. But they're going to have that mentality ran into the ground to kill physical copies of games. So they don't have to spend money on putting it on cartridges. They don't have to spend money on the box art. They don't even come with pamphlets anymore. Like, you can see the little digits, like the little things where it should be. It's not there anymore. This will ruin GameStop, and this will ruin physical game stores, period. They're going to be turned into Funko Pop stores, which is horrible. It's horrible to see a game store that you loved so much just be absolutely destroyed, just based off of greed. I do truly think that they're doing this for the sake of money. They're doing this to kill expenses. They just don't want you to own games anymore. I have made videos on this where basically I said subscriptions are going to ruin video games and they're going to ruin consoles. I mean, with the online memberships, they already got them. Game Pass, unfortunately, I've had to go Game Pass because the games now that they're being charged for, they're almost $100 in my currency. So $80. $80. So let's look up 80 USD to CAD. You are paying $100 for your games as a Canadian. This This is absurd. $100 back in my day when I was on a console would give you controllers. They would give you a bundle of games of like deluxe version of games, like maybe 6 of them. They are now costing no deluxe, no pre-order bonus, no special gifts, no, not even the pamphlet. They don't give you the pamphlet anymore. They are charging Canadians $113 for a game. Nintendo, I need to go big for a second. Nintendo, if you continuously raise your prices for Canadians and you aren't going to make them the same price as USD, and because listen, we've been paying $80 for your games for a long ass time. Since the Nintendo Switch 1, you are going to see a major uprising in piracy. You're going to see a major uprising in emulations. And I know that you hate those, but there's only so much that you can do to prevent it that isn't taking them down. You are making the issue worse by making your fans choosing between groceries or a video game in Canada. You are cutting off countries that don't have a powerful dollar, such as Japan. I know the Japanese, they get a deal because the yen is so weak and they get it for $100 off. I'm thinking you need to do that for, I saw hair, I got it, no worries. I believe you need to start doing that for countries that are also in a very bad space, like bad space. With the tariffs and the economy, it is disgusting to want to charge Canadians $113 for a digital game. Yet alone the hardware and the accessories and the things that you don't deem essential. Even the online memberships where we are almost paying $40 a month is absurd. You can prevent piracy and you can prevent the homebrews and everything that you don't like. However, you are pushing more and more Canadians and people in countries where their bills or their money or their currency isn't as powerful as the US down that road. And it is time that you take accountability for the actions and the greed that you have for other countries for making them pay ridiculous, stupid amounts of money. And I'm only speaking as a Canadian. I am sure there are so many other people from other countries, potentially in your comment section, maybe they're in mine. You will see a ton of people saying, I am not going to financially recover from buying a Switch 2, so I need to stay with my old Switch. I'm not saying that this is going to be your next Wii U. I believe the Nintendo Switch 2 will be very, very successful for you. I also believe that this will be your most pirated era. You know, thieves, if you will. You can get people arrested. It is against the law. I totally understand that. But if you don't want people to pirate, give them a budget option. Make it less money in their currency. If you can do it for Japan, you can do it for a lot of other places in the world that have supported you. You did not become a billionaire company just from American and Japanese sales alone. You haven't. Hold accountability to your team. Realize the economics of the world right now. Understand that this pricing is probably the dumbest thing you could ever do, and especially with the pre-orders already being delayed because of the tariffs, and you potentially having to raise the price even more. We are in a crisis where some companies and a lot of, hell, even the States, they're heading for a recession. Nintendo, you are not an essential. We need a place to sleep. We need air conditioning. We need food. We do not need the newest Nintendo Switch. Understand that. Think about it. If you in 2017 can come out with a Switch Lite that is a budget-friendly version, you can come out with a Nintendo Switch 2 that is a budget-friendly option. It's a call to action. These prices are disgusting. Especially with what you do to scam your fans. That some of them have been with these guys since the 90s. And you know they'll still buy it, and that's the messed up part. You take advantage of your fans. Think about it. maybe carry out the support for the Nintendo Switch 1 just a little bit longer. The same way that Sony has graciously continued support for the PlayStation 4 because they know that a lot of people can't afford the PlayStation 5. And do not charge your fans for the upgrades that should be free with their backwards compatible games. PC has it. Rockstar, one of the most greedy companies in the world recently, especially Take-Two, they gave Expanded and Enhanced for us for free on Steam. It's not hard to put your fans first, Nintendo. It never has been. And I know that you guys are working on the backwards compatibility and some are giving you more issues than the other. That's fine. But the least you can do is give us something for free. A free upgrade. Give us an incentive to buy it. Comes with a free Pro Controller. The budget version maybe doesn't have the carnage on it or doesn't have the extra USB-C port. Maybe it doesn't have TV mode. There are things that you can do to make the situation better, but I truly don't believe you will. And if you do, I will gain a lot more respect for you as a Canadian. But until then, no. I will not be buying the Switch 2. And I hope that you don't as well, especially if you are from a country where it is stupidly priced, because if you buy it, you are enabling them to raise the prices even higher. Protest with your wallets, PK crew, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys in the next one.